So guys, I want to get started, and I just wanted to share, I know some of you did not attend the call this morning, the pivot call, and there was something that I think Gary Keller said it originally, but I think James Shaw just kind of threw the message back out there. And I'm going to mute somebody, hold on. There we go. The quote was, the conversations we have over the next 90 days will determine who consumers will want to work with. And I thought about that, and it's something we've been talking a lot about. You know, it's the long game. It's, you know, certain people are going to be willing to list with us right now, but mainly it's who we're talking to and following up with over the next 90 days as we start getting restrictions lifted and people feel more comfortable, you know, moving forward with putting their house on the market or buying a house. It's the agents that are calling and following up day after day that are going to get those opportunities. And so I wanted to talk with you guys today, and I actually wanted to do some role playing. I felt like we haven't role played in a while, and I wanted to role play kind of around what you guys either perceive you're going to get on the phone from people, or what are some objections that you actually have gotten from people as you have made your calls, because we need to make sure we stay in practice and we're continuing going over our scripting and role playing so that we are comfortable when we're talking to a seller on the phone. So who's had an objection that has come up that they want some practice around that we can talk about today? I have some I can come up with, but I want to hear what you guys are actually getting on the phone where we can bring you value. I love this part of the call, if you guys don't know. I'm like, who the hell's going to speak up first? Everybody says they've been making their calls. Nobody wants to put anything out there or be picked on. Let me just say this. All these things that we do, all these calls that we make, some are easy, some are tough. Essentially, though, we get the same response, whether we're calling our sphere of influence for sell-by owners or expireds. We're going to get about the same 3 or 4 responses or pushback. So we don't have to know a whole lot to create value and actually get to a point where we can meet with them and have an appointment. We just need to know maybe 3 or 4 things to say at a high level. And so with that being said, I want to know from the people who are actually doing their job every day, what are you getting on the phone when you're calling people and you're attempting to show some value and set up an appointment?
You know,
hey David, I'm driving, but I'm focused on driving, but I'm not getting any objections about COVID anymore. I feel like the objections are just the same as before COVID. We're going to try to sell it on our own. We don't want to pay commission, or, you know, it's, I don't know. I feel like almost the thought of COVID is going away a little bit.
I agree with Haza.
Yeah.
settling in.
From a few people before as well, Haza, that more people are just the same standard stuff we've been talking about forever, which is I can sell it on my own, which is the biggest thing that we're getting with for sell-by owners. Are you guys seeing them having success selling their house on their own?
No.
Exactly.
Like I called, there's 2 for sale by owners I've been on for like a week or 2. Mm-hmm. And one I called on Saturday. He's like, oh, I've had like 80 or 90 realtors, but we had a good conversation about what he does for a living. He's in sports marketing. He insures like Kanye West voice and stuff like that. So, so he's like, well, let me talk to my wife about this. We just don't want to pay commission. It had nothing to do with COVID.
Right.
So I'll call you back on Monday at 10 o'clock. Of course, he didn't pick up, and I called you yesterday later. And he like 2 offers. I'm like, oh, fantastic. Good for you. Can I call you on Wednesday to follow up? And he goes, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm staying on him, but it's the same objection. It's not like we're keeping it off, we're not getting any showings. They're still confident they could sell it on.
Right. And so when we're getting someone, and I think this is what we should talk about right now, because I'm sure anyone who's calling a FSBO is getting the same thing. When they're saying to us like, hey, I don't really need your help. I'm having a lot of showings. I'll talk to my wife. I'll get back with you. I don't want to pay commission. And that's their main pushback as a for sale by owner, or else why would they be selling it themselves? What do we say to someone who's saying, I don't want to pay the commission?
Well, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. What if I can show you 15 minutes that you can from using an agent than if you sold it on your own?
Okay, so you see how quickly you said that to me?
Yes,
I have a feeling you didn't say that to him.
that's correct.
Why? So this is what I want to talk about, because what you said is right, man, and you said it with confidence. Like when you said that, I'm like, that's it. So what keeps us from saying that to a for sale by owner? Because when you say that to them and you open up the conversation, it's how you get the appointment before they get those offers so that you can get the listing. So what keeps us from saying that to the for sale by owner?
A drunk
Confidence. It's confidence, I think.
So when you say confidence, are you saying you don't have confidence in delivering that statement, or you don't have confidence that you can actually help them make more money?
For me,
I think it's just straightforwardness and the fear of rejection.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the drunk monkey.
It's the drunk monkey. Yeah.
The one thing that I find is troublesome is it's really the next step. In other words, I call someone, I get them on the phone, and I ask them, I say, are you thinking about, selling your home? This is kind of totally cold call. And they say, no, not at this time. So really it's the second thing that I say that I'm struggling with to get the conversation going in the way I want it to go. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear what you're saying, and I'll cover that, and I want to come back to Raj. So when they say no, not at this time, what do you think, just organically, what should be your next question to them?
What I do.
Oh, hold on, Raj, for you. Hold on 1 second. I want to ask Steve that real quick. What do you think your next question should be, Steve?
What are you considering it for maybe not right now, but what about in the future? Do you think that might change?
Well, that could be one. Could you ask them, like, when they do sell their home, where do they plan on moving to, and kind of dig for motivation?
So what might your plans be, for the future? Or, are you looking?
I think you're overthinking it. It's just like, okay, so you're looking at moving in the future. Let me ask you, when you do end up moving, where are you moving to? And then why is that important? And dig for motivation, because a lot of times they're just kind of outstripping us by saying we're not interested right now. And if we get off the phone with them, we're not digging deep enough to really find out what their true motivation is. So no matter what they say, you want to go right into your script and say, well, if you sold the house, where would you move to? And why is that important? And what would that do for you? Because then you're digging out some of the motivation, which may cause them, if the situation is right, to put their house on the market now versus waiting until later.
Getting to the real motivation is really what the issue is.
That's it. That's it. So try that next time, Steve, and just dig for motivation.
David.
Kathi.
Hi. Question that ties into the, the script part that talks about I could net you more. I know for myself with hesitation is that, because I was talking to FSBO about 10 days ago and I almost went there, but what stopped me was that I knew that they were overpriced to begin with. So I'm thinking, okay, can I truly say that I'm going to get them more than they think they're going to get? Because right now they're so overpriced. So I need help in terms of how do I get that out of my head, or how do I say, how do I feel confident in saying something, even though I know the price may be much lower than what they're expecting right now.
What you have to understand, Kathi, is you're not telling them that you can get more than what they currently have it listed for. You're telling them that you can sell it for more than they will ultimately sell it for. So if they have it listed at 600 and you know it's only worth 550, you will be able to get them more money, because when you have it priced correctly through your negotiating and marketing, you're going to get more people through and be able to get them more money on the sale of their home. At 600, no one's going to sell it. Doesn't matter at 600. That number is fantasy land, like we talk about in the listing presentation. What you're going to be talking about is reality, where agents list property and sell property, and at that number, you will get them more money. When people come to it for sale, even if you had it listed at 550 and they had it listed at 550, people go to it for sale by owner because they're trying to save money. And they're going to expect to pay less because they're dealing directly with the owner. They expect to pay fair market value when when it's listed with an agent. So you're always going to get them more money because you're a professional and you know how to market property and negotiate price and terms. A for sale by owner will never be able to get the same amount of money that you can when you market that property correctly.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Now, Raj, I wanted to step back to you really quickly. So you were saying you didn't say that to him because of, I know some people were throwing out drunk monkey and just not having confidence.
I think what Kathi said hit it on the nail. Like, if I say that, you know, net you more money, I just feel like the first thing they're going to expect is not to change the price.
Right.
Even if I show them comps. So then they're going to be like, well, do your magic because you promised this. And so even if I show them comps and even if I show them that. So that's what probably mentally stops me.
Yes.
And because I've also had experience just like have baggage with relationships, I had baggage with sellers where I've overpriced things, and I'm like, I don't want to go through that again.
I understand that.
Not helping me in this situation.
So what one thing, guys, everybody on this call can answer this. What one thing would get them to price their property correctly? What is that one thing?
Motivation.
That's it. So Raj, your whole thing is not in the beginning talking to them about price. It's about figuring out their motivation. And if their motivation is high and you educate them on the comps, they will price it correctly if their motivation is strong enough.
Yeah. I could say something like, look, I can guarantee you a 60-day, but it has to be priced right. That's it. There's no other choice. You have to price it below or at the market. You know,
if you want to get to blank by blank, this is where you need to be priced.
Yeah.
Nothing about you. It's about their motivation. If you want to get here, if doing this is important to you, this is what the market is telling us your home will sell for. I can appreciate you want this number. I'd love to get this number for you, but I'm not buying your house and you're not writing a check and buying it either. This is what buyers are willing to pay for your home. And so in order to get it sold in the time you need it sold, this is where you have to be. This is what the market is telling us. I don't make the market. I just interpret it. That conversation.
Yeah. And then they go to some other agent and who says, I can sell it for more. And that's then
Well, I mean, listen, that's whether it's a physical or somebody we know, it's always going to be that agent coming in the back door saying they can get more. It's our job to educate them about those buyers. So they, about those agents. So they know that there's somebody that might come in the back door. Like, listen, there are agents that will take this listing at a higher price. If that's what you want, I can find you hundreds of agents that will list it at 600. However, in 6 months when your home hasn't sold because it's overpriced, what's that mean for your game plan? What's your plan B when the house hasn't sold?
You really got to get in there. And
you got to get in there because look at it this way, Raj. You could take it at 600 and have them sign a price reduction form saying that in 2 weeks, if it hasn't sold, you drop it down. So you can list it at that higher number if you choose to, as long as they have agreement to drop the price. And so you should never let somebody come in the back door and take a listing from you based on price. It's all about talking through their motivation. And once they're looking at the comps, the numbers are what the numbers are. There's no magic that we can work to get them more money. No one's going to overpay for a house. Now, there are times when the market's hot, like it's a hot seller's market, there's a little inventory, you can help them get more. But I think you get my overall point. If the comps are saying 550, no one's paying 600. No matter how much marketing you do. It's that whole example about where do you buy your milk, right? That we talk about. No one's going to overpay.
Yeah. And then it stays on the market for months. And then, because I don't want to, I've had that experience in past listings. You spend all this money, you spend all this time away from family. They overpriced it and they go to somebody else. A month later, they sell it at the price that they got an offer for when they were with you. But they said,
of course. And that's why that's what you have to tell people is the whole feel, felt, found. I understand why you feel your house should be listed at 600. I've had other sellers who have felt the same way. However, what we found is that when we started high, we ended up selling for less than I recommended because we sat on the market for week after week after week after week. And eventually we ended up selling for less. Are you okay with that? Or should we do the right thing and price it here where it will sell?
That works.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, lot of drunk monkey, a lot of fear around making these calls and actually pushing sellers to understand what needs to happen to get their house on the market. My concern with that, like Rod, you have this guy on the phone. We typically have these people on the phone and we let them off. And then when it's time to get them back on the phone, it's hard to get them back on the phone.
Oh, yeah. And especially, I saw one listing. He's like, absolutely no realtors. Don't you dare call me. And I called him and he's like, oh, I listed with Remax.
Right. No matter what they say, your job is to call. No matter what they say, even if they say no realtors, no agents, be respectful, right? So I'm always saying be respectful. I would always call and say, hey, I saw your listing and you said no realtors. Are you saying that you don't want to list your house with an agent? Or are you saying even if an agent has a qualified buyer, you wouldn't talk to them? And typically they change their tune pretty quickly. Like, I just don't want the solicitations. I don't want all the calls. And you respect that and just go right through your script. Because no matter what they say, if their motivation is strong enough, they're going to end up listing with an agent. And the agent who's willing to pick up the phone and make that call, like that agent at Remax, they're going to get the business.
Yeah.
So one thing I saw in the threads today on the pivot call this morning was a lot of conversations about people having fear of making calls and just making a decision just to pick up the phone anyhow and just do it. Like they were like, I'm putting the fear in my backpack and I'm just getting on the phone and we're just going to make calls today. And people were sharing stories about them getting listing opportunities and finding buyers where they normally wouldn't make the calls. They just finally said, I have to do this. Because like Gary Keller was saying, in 90 days, all the calls that we're making right now, those people are going to be making decisions on who they want to work with. And so we have to be making those calls now. What the agents are finding is they're finding people who want to do deals right now, and they're building a strong pipeline and setting up smart plans like IRA to find those people in 90 days. So I guess my question would be, before I just finish this call up, what do we need to do to just say, no matter what, if I'm scared, if I'm afraid that I don't know what to say, I'm just going to follow the script and make the calls anyhow today. I'm just going to get on the phone and just go for it, no matter what happens. Because no matter what, you already don't have the listing opportunity. If you make the call and you completely mess up, you're still in the same place.
You know, I find that I need one good conversation to really get me into the day.
Yeah.
And that really, if it's a good one, you know, that all of a sudden I'm like, I've got the strength and I'm ready to go. But it's always that first one that's important to me. At least it happens that way when I'm just being very, I can get aggressive after that first one. I don't know what happens, but
yeah, that happened. Like on Friday, I called expired and she called me 3 times. Like it was one, first she called, I missed the call, and then she called again. And then she's like, I've never been associated with that house. Don't you ever call me again. Then she called me again, and it was her husband. He's like, we sold that house 2 years ago. And I was like, they're calling me 3 times. Take me off your list. You know? Then later on in the day, I called the FSBO in Hoboken. And the crazy thing is he was actually looking in Glen Rock at that moment for a house. And I was like, oh my God, I'm here. And he, you know, so we had a really good talk. Obviously he wants me to be, he's a real estate attorney. So we had a lot in common. He already has an agent helping him, but that helped me make more calls after that.
So he already has an agent that's helping him in Glen Rock. Is that what you said? Yeah,
but he's a FSBO in Hoboken right now.
Okay. The agent that's helping him in Glen Rock, has he signed an agreement with them, or is he open to talking to other people?
He's not, because he's known him for a long time. I know which agent he's talking about, and he's like, I've locked him in. But I mean, that what you were saying was that, Steve, that gave me a little more strength to be like, okay, let me make more calls. Because trust me, when I made that FSBO, I was so frazzled from that first call with, like, don't you call me?
Yeah.
And that I was like, I can't do this.
So it's really a matter of, if you're successful, it's got to be because you don't care what they say.
You don't care what they say.
Yeah,
right?
I think, Dave, it's kind of like, you know, when you're in like a martial arts class or something, you're practicing, you're hitting the bag, you're doing the right thing, they're training you. That to me is kind of like our role playing. But as soon as you get into the ring with someone, and they punch you in the face, you go into survival mode and you're not thinking about your technique. You're just trying to, just trying to survive. And you can't do that. You have to trust the system, and you have to trust the technique and the training you've been doing. And then all of a sudden you start to relax. And all of a sudden now you can handle yourself in the ring. The same thing on the telephone. Trusting what you're doing in practice and use that over and over. And if they punch you in the face, they punch you in the face. You'll learn not to do that again. These are the things. And what I always say is this: look, I'm not trying to sell you the house over the phone. When I talk to somebody, I get an appointment. That's my goal. Find out their motivation. Find out how, on a scale of 1 to 10. That's one of my questions is on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your motivation? That's like the third question I'm asking people after where you're going and what's the motivation. And once you get that, you just close for the appointment. Don't try and sell them. Hey, I can do, what's stopping you? Let's not talk about things. I don't care anything about that. Let me just get in the house. Then you can have all those conversations. And
I like it, Tony.
To your point, Kathi, is if they're overpriced, you got to go in there with the idea that, hey, I might even turn you down. I'm not gonna take your listing. I'd rather let you down than turn you down. I'd rather turn you down than let you down. Meaning, hey, if you're gonna remain overpriced, I can't get you the most money.
That's right.
But if you want me to send you market statistics and show you what's happening and where your house should be priced and get it on there and get people through and get multiple offers, I'll definitely get you more money. If not, when it expires, call me.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that, Tony, a lot. Raj, before we get off this call, I just want to say to you, I'm a first sale by owner right now, and I'm going to say to you, Raj, listen, I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for calling. If you have a buyer, you can come bring them. However, we're not willing to pay a commission.
Okay, that's fair. I have many buyers. So I would really need to see your home in order to see if it's the right property for them.
Raj.
Okay, I do have that objection. Okay.
No, I'm not even accepting that. Raj, I'm not willing to pay a commission. If you have a buyer, bring them.
Okay. So
I get tripped on over that too. Yeah.
No, he already said the answer earlier. You know it. That's why I'm not accepting what you just said to me.
Appreciate.
I can appreciate that. But what if I can show you how to net more money off your house?
You broke up. Say it again. What if I can show you?
How I can net you more money by listing it with an agent rather than, if you're willing to already pay commission, it's not a totally commission-free transaction. So you are willing to pay some commission. But what if I can work with you and help you net the most money by listing it with me rather than selling it on your own?
That's one way. How can you do it shorter by isolating it? How could you isolate that and make it shorter?
Don't you have to go back to motivation?
Well, you can, but before then, let's say you know motivation, you know what that is, but they're still saying no commission. How can you isolate that?
So what I'm hearing is you want to walk away with the most money in your pocket at the end of this transaction. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So if I could sit down with you for, say, 15 minutes and show you how by using me to sell your home, you'll wind up walking away with more money than you can by yourself. Would it make sense for us to have this conversation?
Yeah, I just don't understand how you could do that.
Well, give me 15 minutes. And after that, if I can't convey to you how it happens, we can shake hands. I'll walk out of your life. I won't bother you anymore. Is that fair?
That's one way to handle it. Very good, Tony. Or you can say, other than paying commission, is there any other reason you wouldn't work with me? And that's going to pull out other objections. Well, my mother-in-law is an agent, so we will have to work with her. We want to isolate it and get them to say, nope, it's just the commission. And then after they say that, you can say what Tony said. If I can sit down with you and show you that even after paying my commission, you would walk away with more money in your pocket, why wouldn't you meet with me for 10 minutes?
That's the one thing I need to work on, the isolate. I forget almost every single time to isolate the Need to work on that.
Do you have scripts in front of you when you're calling?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Isolate the objection on the top of your script. That's the only way I remembered it, because you do forget. It just needs to be written there. Isolate the objection.
Yeah.
In big bold print, because everyone's going to give you an objection to meeting with them, setting up an appointment, taking the listing. So we should always isolate it. And if that's the only thing, then we overcome that objection. All right. I realize we're in overtime. Raj, I'm going to call you today, and I'm going to be that for sale by owner.
Okay.
We're going to role play this out. So I want you to practice what we just talked about right now. At some point in time today, before or after a call I have, I'm going to call you.
Okay.
Don't ghost me. Answer my call.
Don't block your number.
Don't block my number. I'm going to help you get this, because this is the key. This is the difference between you getting the commission and not getting the commission. It's just isolating the objection and then closing. It's that one little piece.
Yeah, yeah. Because I have no problem. I have a harder time calling expireds than I do FSBOs. FSBOs, obviously, they want everybody in the house. It's converting them that I have a very hard time doing.
It's only because you're not.
That's part of it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's that part. It's just that little piece.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're going to work on that. Other than, is there any other reason? And then closing.
I just wrote all that out. Because that's the one I need to, I was trying to get through that path. So thank you. I'll wait for your call.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for the call today. Hopefully you guys picked up something about closing so that you guys can create the opportunities. You're making the calls, get the opportunities.
Very good, David.
Thank you.
All right.
No, great, David. Thank you. I always forget about isolation.
It's important. It's important. Patty, I'll be calling you in a second.